How many times have you finished eating and realized you barely even tasted it? Or maybe you're somebody who goes like this: eat, eat, and you're chewing and you're adding another bite and you're chewing and you're adding another bite, and it's just a constant stream of food to your mouth. Today we're going to talk about the power of a pause. So we live in a world that teaches us to eat fast, scroll fast, make quick decisions, but change can really start when we stop. So pausing is the split second decision that turns the split second moment that turns a reaction into a response. So we're going to talk about why pausing matters, how we can do it, and what changes when we do. The average person makes over 200 food related decisions per day. Most of these are automatic, and it might sound like a lot, but every time that you're thirsty and you get a drink, you decided to do that. So when we're on autopilot like that, we see food, we smell food, we feel something, and we respond, oftentimes without any kind of awareness. The pause interrupts the cyclic loop of stimulus response, and it gives us a chance to interrupt it so that we can make a decision. It's kind of like a mental seatbelt. It doesn't stop you from driving. It just keeps you from crashing. So pausing activates a part of your brain that is a decision-making part, as opposed to being in that kind of subconscious flow of just shoveling food. And I mean, I'm the worst at this. I'll take a bite, be chewing it, and adding another bite before I've even swallowed it. So it just gets us out of that subconscious, automatic, just I'm here to eat and that's all I'm going to do, and helps us when we stop and pause to make a decision on what we're going to do. Are we going to take that next bite, and what's going on around it as far as like a real life situation. It's kind of like one of those things where when you walk in the kitchen and you open the refrigerator door and you're just standing there, like, why? Because your body's automatically trying to do something. So, there's a few different types of, or kind of times when we can use the pause. One of those, and probably kind of one of the bigger ones, is before eating. So we can ask ourselves before, you can sit down with your plate of food, and before you take a single bite, am I hungry, or am I just feeling some type of way that makes me think that this is the time to eat? What do I want? Am I looking for energy out of this food? Am I looking for comfort? Am I looking for some kind of distraction or relief? Is this food kind of aligned with who I said that I wanted to be today and the decisions that I told myself I want to make better decisions today? Is this food in line with that? So even just a couple of quick seconds to kind of ponder that before you start eating can be really helpful. And you can even keep a sticky note, in the pantry, on the fridge, inside of the fridge door, that just says pause. And when you start pausing, you'll start getting some awareness as to when you're making those automatic decisions and how you can start slowing them down. The most important one for me, and I teach people this all the time too, is during eating to take a physical pause. So that can be as easy as this, because it can kind of get a little hectic when you're eating and you're thinking like, I should be pausing. How do I do this? The simplest thing is to take a bite of food and put the fork down and take your hand off of it. Then once you're done, once you chew and swallow, pick the fork back up, get another bite of food, set the fork down, and wait until you swallow that bite before you pick it up. And what you'll start to notice is you'll start to taste your food more. You'll start to have more awareness of like where your hunger level is throughout the meal. One thing that we can talk about with coaching clients is, how hungry were you halfway through this plate of food? Were you already a 7 or 8, fullness on halfway through this plate of food? In which case, you might not need to eat the rest of that food. And you can do that to really kind of slow yourself down. Another thing that you can do to pause is to take a sip of water. If you're going to, hold on to the fork or eating something that doesn't have a fork, chew one bite, chew it and swallow it, and take a small sip of water. Just the action of taking a small sip of water can really stop you and keep you kind of in this awareness thing, so we don't sit there with our Chipotle burrito bowl and just going like this. So, a lot of times something that can be very eye-opening to a lot of people is when you sit down to eat, start a timer. And this is for, a typical meal, not like you're out at a restaurant or you're in a hurry or whatever, just kind of like your normal dinner. Sit down and start a timer and set it away from you and just sit there and eat. And you might be interested to see like, oh, it probably takes me, 20 or 25 minutes to eat this meal. You might get done in like 5 or 6 minutes. You're probably eating way too fast. So use some of those tips to get a pause built in there while you're eating, definitely before also. And then afterwards, when you're done with the food, pausing at that point also can be really beneficial for a few reasons. One of them is to ask yourself, how do I feel physically right now? Am I satisfied? Am I stuffed? Do I feel like I'm bloated out? Would I make the same choice next time? And start to build some awareness without any guilt, just observation. So what kind of changes when you pause? Well, you start to build trust with yourself because food is losing its grip on you. It's not really controlling you anymore. You're going to reduce your overeating naturally without restricting any food, but just because you're more aware of it, because you have stopped in between bites, or you stop beforehand, you should really do all three and stop afterwards and ask yourself some of those questions. You'll realize that food doesn't have to control you, and you'll reduce that overeating naturally without having to restrict what it is you're actually eating. You're going to enjoy, of course, your food more. You'll notice a lot more about the flavor and the texture, and you can learn to be, it can really help start to build you into a much more thankful mindset surrounding the food that you're eating. And you'll start to make choices that align with your long-term goals instead of a short-term emotion that puts you in that spot. So, it's not really just about what's on your plate. It's about the space in between those thoughts that led you there. So as far as a little, challenge or something, if you want to try this at home, what you should do, the next couple of meals, I would suggest that whatever the next thing you're going to eat for sure. And if you can do it a few more times, that'd be really great and beneficial to you to be able to see the kind of things that pop in your head when you're taking challenges. So when you're taking a pause. So for the next couple of meals, I would encourage you to get a piece of paper and just keep it next to you. And before you take the first bite, write down kind of what you're feeling, how you're feeling about it. And then as you're eating, try setting your fork down in between bites. I'm telling you, it is the tiniest little thing, but it is huge. And you are going to catch yourself, especially if you're not used to doing this, which I'm assuming you're not because not a lot of people do it. You're going to catch yourself shoveling food, and then your brain is trying to tell your body like, hey, we're supposed to be putting this fork down, and you're going to realize you have 3 bites of food in your mouth. So it's going to be real eye-opening when you actually do this for yourself. So I highly encourage doing it. And then afterwards, of course, on your paper, start writing down some answers to some of those questions. How do I feel physically? Would I make the same choice again? Kind of what was going on? What happened that led me to feel like I need to finish all this food, or I overate, and kind of, reflect, give yourself an opportunity to reflect on that. So, it's a little uncomfortable. And then as you do it repeatedly over time, even just a week or so, you can really start to notice some things, and it'll calm down, and you'll feel a lot more at peace with your meals when you start reflecting and pausing before, during your eating, and after. So we all know that change doesn't just start with the food and whatever. It really starts in the mind. And pausing is not restriction. It's a time to reflect and decide, and make another decision and kind of put ourselves into a mindful place while we're eating. And it can really start to drive us onto a path to be healthier. So if this resonates with you, I'm working on some other videos around mindful eating, balancing your meals, and learning how to bring some freedom to your own table. So I hope to stick around, and that's pretty much it as far as the pause goes. Thanks.